You're watching Score's Tech Tip Tuesday. Today we're talking about creating stat reports in the MLS.
Now there are a couple of ways to create a stat within Matrix. The first is by accessing the stats generator, and we'll do that by hovering the stats link in the top menu. Then select which property type you'd like to run the stats on. For this example, let's choose residential. And from here, you'll notice that we have a couple of different stat options. The first are called presets, and these are essentially predefined statistics that can be quickly generated simply by choosing a stat, then clicking on the Generate button. Now because they're presets, their parameters, such as time frame and how they should be grouped, have already been defined. But let's say you're not interested in sales from the past 6 years. Perhaps you're only interested in the past 12 months. Well, we can override any of the preset parameters simply by clicking on the Customize tab, then selecting the new values. From here, we can choose to either generate our new stat for the entire system, or perhaps we'd like to narrow our search by adding some additional criteria. So let's go ahead and do that by creating a stat that's only for a specific area. And we're only interested in properties that were listed here for between $500,000 and $600,000. And if you'd like to filter by criteria that isn't currently displayed on the search form, simply click the Add link to select your additional fields. But for now, let's just save the preset with the current criteria. And we'll call this one Historic Sales Past 12 Months. And I'm also going to choose to add this to my stats widget on the homepage for quick access, just in case I'd ever like to run it when I first log onto the system. All right, so now let's click Save. And from here, click the Generate button and run this stat with the criteria initially saved with this preset. And with our new chart displayed, we also have the option of viewing just the data or exporting it to a CSV file. Of course, we can also create a custom stat from scratch, and we do this by first clicking the same custom tab, and from here, click the Clear button to remove any of the parameters that may be currently filled. All right, this time, let's take a look at the average sale price for listings during the past 5 years. And while we're at it, let's also add a secondary stat to our chart by clicking on the Advanced Options link, and then selecting, for example, the number of sales. Now there are several different group by options available, many with their own unique settings, so I'd encourage you to go through and explore each of them individually. In the meantime, let's choose to group our stat by month. And rather than having each of our stats displayed as columns, we'll make the average sale price a line. And while we're at it, let's choose an earth tone style for our graph rather than using the default chart color. Now, since I'd like to run this stat on the entire MLS system, I'm going to clear any previous criteria that may have been entered. And with that, my custom stat is now ready to be generated. From here, perhaps you'd like to print it as a PDF to include as a custom page in a CMA. Notice as well that we can also choose to include the tabular data. Or maybe you'd prefer just to send it directly to a client's portal. And again, you'll need to specify if you'd also like to include the tabular data.